So we could just go real quick to Google, and we can find out, for example, we could look for WordPress and e-commerce. Looks like I've already done this before. And we'll see that WP eCommerce is one of the plugins. This is actually a plugin that's been around for a while. We'll take a look at the FAQ, and it tells me that's how to customize e-commerce, and it has some indications about installation. What it says is that we can upload the folder eCommerce to eCommerce plugins directory and then activate it. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll download it. You see it's downloading right there. We'll bring it over. Plugins. Add new. Upload. WP eCommerce. Okay. And we'll install that now. You'll see down here it's uploading. 45%, 50%. And done. And same deal, we need to tell it about how to get it up. So we'll provide a password real quick. And let it do the install. Alright, let's take a look at installed real quick. And you'll see that we have WP shopping cart, and we can activate that. And just as when we activated the theme, you'll see there's a new thing here called products. And products lists the things that we can have included, and we have products that we want to sell, and there's categories of those products, and there's the settings where we'd have to enter in our information about where we're selling things, and payment options. Again, this just doesn't fix everything for us. We still need to set up an account with PayPal or with Google Checkout. But once we have those, we can make the two talk to each other, and we can have a shopping cart that works. And so it's all set up. So in about 3 or 4 minutes there, we've set everything up in terms of that, in terms of adding in plugins and stuff. All right, another thing that CMSs allow you to do is have multiple users with multiple abilities. And so let's go to settings again real quick. And we'll take a look, and not settings, I'm sorry, let's go to users real quick. And we can see that we can set up users. So if I wanted to add in a new user, I will just call them, I don't really remember what their names are, because they're my employees. I'll just call them Sam Peon. That's what I usually call them, is peons. No, we won't call him. We'll just call him Sam. We don't need to remind him of that. So we'll just call him Sam, and his first name is Sam, and last name we'll just call him employee. And the email is sam@halivay.net. I like them to take up my last name. And I don't know if they have a website. And remember it. Remember. Okay. And we can send a new password to that. Now look down here, it says role, and we have subscriber, administrator, editor, author, contributor. I'm going to make him an editor. Now on a regular CMS you would be able to define what roles you have. And you could probably do that in WordPress with a little bit more wiggling, but this is again where it feels a little bit light. If you're ever wondering, we could always check the codex. WordPress codex is the kind of instruction manual, and so we have a listing of roles and capabilities here. And so it says that editor is someone who can publish posts, and manage other people's posts. And so that sounds like something that we want them to be able to do, and so we'll go ahead and add that user. Oh, it still didn't like my password. Let's try that again. All right. So we now have all of our users. We have me, and then we have Sam, and so we have other people that can work on the site. And so again, this is one of those things that we use a CMS for, that we can allow different people to have different levels of access and different levels of control. So he can't change the theme, for example, or add in new plugins, but if there's content on the site, he can edit it in the pages. All right, so what else can we do that we would do on a CMS? One of the things that we like to do is, right now it's set up as a backend, but if you look at the actual inside pages, the URLs are kind of ugly. So if I click on, for example, we have a products page here with the checkout and my account, Cool, huh? Just kind of added it in there and made it all pretty. But if I go to the services and look up here at the URL, this keeps showing up because I'm logged in as a admin. If I log out, we can get rid of that. Oops. So okay, so if I look at the services page here, you'll see that that's a really ugly. It says page ID. The question mark means that it's using this as an option, and I don't like that URL. And one of the things that you can do on almost all CMSs is change the structure of the URLs. So let's go ahead and change the permalinks. And right now it has that ugly look. We could just do numeric. We could do name and date. I like on almost everything I do for it to just be post name. I think that's a very simple way to do it. So it says the permalink structure is updated, and now if we go and visit the site, we can see that rather than when I go to services, rather than it being that ugly thing, we actually have something that says services, and you'll see that. Remember, we added in the bread trail here, which is a very useful navigation device, and so all this is just kind of happened automatically without having to do any programming or any HTML stuff. So this is another one of those things that we expect out of a CMS. We need to have friendlier URLs both for search engines and for individuals so that they can find things more easily. The final piece I'm going to look at real quick is something called taxonomies. First, I'll just talk a little bit about kind of organizing things. With the newer versions, I can actually add in a new page which talks about a new service, which is, let's say, phone waxing, because everyone needs their phones waxed once in a while. And I can actually say that this page has a parent, because this is a service. So I can add this as a service, as kind of a sub on services, and you'll see that it actually changes the URL to services phone waxing. And when I look here, I'll have to refresh it, and because I'm logged in, it's going to give me that again, reminding me that they really want my money. Under services, we now have phone waxing as a sub, and we have you can see we have the breadcrumbs that are reflecting that. That's a nice little overall structure that's useful. Taxonomies, we'll get into more depth on this when we get to when we start to talk about Drupal. Taxonomy is a scary word that we are only going to touch on in the course because it really is part of information architecture and something you deal with in more depth when you get to 512, presumably, where you talk about user studies and information architecture in a little more depth. But here we'll talk a little bit about taxonomies because it's important for CMSs. And taxonomies are basically a way of organizing information into categories on a site. And so we won't talk in depth about how to do this in WordPress. Basically, you can make use of a fairly complicated category scheme, and it's getting closer to something that's a traditional taxonomy. But suffice for now, we'll say that it is basically a way of organizing complicated stuff on the site so that it makes more sense and so that there's some semantic information about where things belong. And so WordPress didn't used to be very good at this at all, but more and more people were using it as a CMS. So now there's some support for various taxonomic organization of the site. So this is a very quick overview, of course, of some of the ways that WordPress as a blogging platform has now really been included on a lot of lists as a CMS, because it does a lot of the things a CMS does with a lot less hassle and a lot less overhead and grief than you'll see that we'll have to take to get Drupal up and running and doing what we want it to do. So if you want a simple CMS, if you're thinking about something like this that is maybe 15 or 20 or 30 pages and not a huge site, then WordPress is probably a good solution for you. All right, we'll see you next time.